Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where and when you're watching us from. My name is Mutathi Washira Wanyaga, Mujiro wa Bari ya Karigithi, na ngwihoka kuma ng'ongo ciothe iria ciumaga huho. Muri thayo, thayo, thayo. Today is a good day. It's the 13th of March, the year is 2024. And welcome to African Corner. So today we will be talking about Ramadan. We want to understand Ramadan. And I think I should say, therefore, Ahlan wa sahlan wa barakatuh. I think Omar have said it quite well so that we can be able to proceed. So today, as I've said, we are talking about Ramadan. We have started the month of Ramadan and we want to understand. We want to understand what do we mean when we talk about Ramadan? What does it entail? I know our Muslim brothers and sisters, they do understand it. But there are some other people like myself who do not know it quite well, do not understand it quite well. And therefore, that is why before we get deeper into the month of Ramadan, it will be nice if we have these conversations such that all of us can be able to appreciate and understand what we mean or what happens in Ramadan. Joining me is the gang as usual. I can see Maina Olishasha is in the house, Jeff Waheto is in the house, and now our guests, Omar and Bakari. So I will allow them to introduce themselves. So nyinyi wenyeji mtangoja kidogo, tuanze na wageni kwanza, and then we see how it goes. So Omar, kindly introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Omar. I'm a friend of Kura for quite some time now, and we've had this conversation back and forth. What does it mean to be a Muslim? What does it mean for you to be in the spaces we are in? What does it mean for you to walk in the shoes you're walking in? So of course that is religiously and culturally, and there is a lot of riffraff on that sometimes, and we get to be misunderstood. And I think you've been misunderstood as Christians, and even Muslims get to be misunderstood a lot of times. So today is a section, a part where we get to talk a little bit about Ramadan, and in the hope that at the end of this conversation we'll have a rough idea of what Ramadan is, what it does for us, and how we do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Shukran sana. Bakari, kindly also introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam
wa barakatuh. I go by the name Bakari. Actually, I work under Salam mentoring program based in Nairobi. We actually deal with the cultural devices, Muslims, Christians. I'm happy to be here actually. My first time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar and Bakari, for sparing your time to be with us. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And Bakari, I know it's your first time here. You know, Omar is a veteran right now, so we really love guests, and welcome to this fraternity where we get to share information with our fellow African brothers and sisters across the world. So thank you very much. And I can see now. Wenyeji, Jeff, how are you? You know, last time you were saying the week was taking you bad. What about this one?
Once again, I'm Jeff Waheto, and it's good associating. I've seen Omar before in this show. Bakari is new, and I hope I'm also here to learn from them. And I hope it will be a very meaningful conversation to empower more people. Thank you, Ashira. And everyone.
Thank you. As we wait for Minor Lishesha to be back, I can see some comments have started streaming in right now. We appreciate everybody watching us live. I can see somebody by the name Kevin Vidzo saying Ramadan Kareem, my people. That is Kevin Vidzo. And then we have Fred Bon Congo, our very good friend, saying, "Why? Hucho ni Kiswahili. Today I have no comments kabisa, but hello Jeff. Jeff, your friend Fred Bon is in the house, and we appreciate him also for being here every day. Now, Kiswahili hakuna mingi. So for you guys who are watching, you can also send in your questions or through the comment section so that you can also get some answers. Minor, I can see you are in. Kindly introduce yourself, and now you kick us off with your question that you like to ask our talk today.
Yeah. My name is Maina Olifesha. I'm a resident panelist in the show. I think you've seen my face quite a lot this year. And like you said, we're here to talk about Ramadan. I can see Omar is dressed for the occasion. He knew what was supposed to happen and he came prepared. Now let's
From
see how prepared
Zanzibar.
he is. Yeah, all the way from
Yeah.
Zanzibar. That
Mm,
cup has probably traveled more than we have.
mm,
Anyway,
mm.
to kick us off, I love history because I believe our history informs our present and even our future. And I was trying to look into this issue of Ramadan to try and analyze from where it came from, where did it begin, how did these guys sit down and decide that we need to set apart an entire month to cleanse ourselves of this evil and just get closer to God. So Omar, now that you're the one who is dressed for the occasion, I'd like you to just maybe briefly give us a history of Ramadan.
Okay. First things first. This is kind of part of the Islamic attire, and it's, there's a background to it, but that's a story for another day. It is part of the Islamic attire. When you do kanzu, you do that the Arafat, or there's a kilemba you can tie the ribbon on it. But there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot conversation into it. So again, how Ramadan came to be. There are five pillars in Islam, and Ramadan or fasting kinda and Bakari is here. If I miss it, he'll talk it out. Um, Ramadan is the ninth month in the lunar calendar. Contrary to contrary to the Gregorian calendar, the Islamic calendar is based on the lunar, and Muslims tend to fast from dawn to dusk. So, moving back in the times when Islam was being started, and we look at Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from from a normal point of view, not a religious leader, we get to look at him as lack of a better word, someone who occupied Mecca. But that's a story for another day again. It's pretty extensive. But like I said, like you asked, Ramadan is a month in the Islamic calendar, and fasting is one of the pillars of Islam. So of course there are five of them, and Ramadan forms one. So I think Bakari can just highlight on the other five, on the other four, then we can move on again. Maina, naona umenyamaza.
Yeah, I was waiting for Bakari to comment on the other four. I'm not sure if he
Or
can
for
hear
Janito.
us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, Ramadan, we have five pillars in Islam. There is Shahada, then Salah, the prayers the five daily prayers that we do as a Muslim. What we mean by Shahada means the oath. Oath. So there is Shahada, there is Salah, then there is Ramadan, now the Saum, that we call it fasting, and we call there is Zakat. Zakat, what do you mean by Zakat? The giving out, like Sadaqah, charity, and Hajj, pilgrimage.
To Mecca.
Yeah, to Mecca.
Like he said, Shahada basically just means you saying Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah or Ashhadu Anna Muhammad Rasulullah. That I believe in Allah, there is one Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. The second one, let me mention a little bit about zakat. Zakat is not there is zakah, and there is acts of kindness. So zakah is compulsory for someone who has attained a specific amount of wealth. For most of us, and I think even in this show, we have not attained that amount of wealth that you can give out. So there is a percentage, the calculation on it. And Salah is the five daily prayers that Muslim practice from morning all the way to the evening. So I'm just adding it in what Bakari had just said. Did we answer correctly, Maina?
Yeah, I think I get from where you guys come from because in my younger years, I tried fasting. I didn't even last 8 hours. by the 8th hour, I was almost dying. I was almost fainting. But you guys do it for an entire month. Kudos to you guys. It shows your dedication and to
Ni rahisi Maina.
it's not as
Omar, you have
now.
mentioned something. You have mentioned something with Bakari, and I think I've ever heard of. The one going to Mecca, the pilgrimage. Is it now once after you have you have done that is when now you are referred to as Alaji? Because I know I've heard of that word, that name Alaji for some time. Is it really the fact that once you go there you are referred to that? I stand corrected.
Bakari go fast on this one, but just let me put a point note. It's not allergy. Allergy might be something else that I can't explain what that one is. It's Alhaj, if I'm not wrong, but Bakari can correct it. So just go ahead.
The H is silent. The H is silent where I come from.
Hajj.
That's what I wanted to say, but it is coming without the H.
Oh. Okay. Should I continue, Omar? Should I continue?
Yes.
So,
Sure.
Yeah.
in Islamic calendar, we have 11 months. So there is Muharram. So Ramadan is one of the month. Then there is Hajj. Hajj is another month where the Muslim go to Mecca for the pilgrimage. We do it for every year, like every year. So it's a month. Hajj is a month. So basically, people who go there, like people who go to Mecca, like kama una uwezo, I mean, what I'm trying to say, kama una uwezo wa kuenda, not all are supposed to go. Kama una uwezo wa kuenda, unaweza enda as a Muslim. That's basically it.
Okay. And just to follow up on that, Bakari, we are now talking about Ramadan. Maybe we have heard about the history of it, but can you be able to get deeper into it? Explain to us what exactly Ramadan is, because I'm sure it is not only about the fasting itself only, and maybe you can also tell us how it differs from the normal other months of the calendar in the Islamic calendar. How does it differ from, for example, like the one you have said for Hajj? How is Ramadan special? Just get deeper into it.
Okay. So basically, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and it is important to the Muslim worldwide. It is considered as the holiest month for the Muslim. The difference between Ramadan and the other months is Ramadan we do fast. The other month, basically, we don't fast, and it is the holiest month in the Islamic calendar. And also, Muslim observe fasting from sunset till dawn. Don't until sunset. History of this Ramadan, it's during the month is deeply rooted on the Islamic tradition, mostly. So basically, the difference between Ramadan and the other months is we do fast in Ramadan and it's national wide. Muslim come together, do fasting, other things. It's basically Ramadan.
Okay, thank you. Omar?
Allow me to add on it, yeah? When you talk about Hajj, you've probably seen this image of a number of guys in white clothing rotating a specific block, something squared, yeah? It's probably a common picture when you talk about the Muslims. They mostly picture that. Some guys who are just moving around in a specific fashion. Sometimes, quote unquote, it might seem brandless, yeah? But that is in itself is, they call it Hajj, going to Mecca to actually go and seek pilgrimage. There is a whole process, there's a whole chapter about it. It's a whole pillar in itself. So moving back or gravitating back into Ramadan, why we fast. There's a thing about character, yeah? And we get to talk about character as something, what do you do when no one is watching? So this is the month. And this is the month when Muslims have to engage in the act of worship. You get to move closer to your God. You get to move closer to your worshipper. and in this you get to focus more on yourself, on your spiritual journey. You get to focus more on your daily life practices. You get to focus more on an increased prayer pattern. You get to focus more on your recitation to your Quran. You get to focus more on you being a better person than you were actually the other months. It doesn't mean that it makes this month any different, but you move closer. Reason as to why Muslims get to fast without reason as to why you get Muslims to fast more, and they get to adhere to these laws is not because someone is holding a gun to your head, but because Muslims believe during this month your blessings are both doubled and your madhambi bado ziko doubled. And in this month we say that hakuna shetani. Shetani ni wewe. If anything goes wrong in your life right now in this particular juncture, you are the devil. So and in that, just trying to say that there's a whole concept about the devil. So it's another story in itself. But I want to know first, did they answer the question correctly, or can I continue?
Omar, you are going on well. Don't worry. If you answer it incorrect, I don't know if you can be able to answer it incorrectly. But if you happen to do so, I think we can be able to tell you you are on the right trajectory. You're interested with the conversation here. Okay. I can, before I allow Jeff to ask a question to any of our guests, I can see Kipyegon Hillary kutoka kule pande ya Nakuru saying that Ramadan Kareem Saum Makbul. I also want to know what that means also. I hope to get the understanding. So Jeff, talk to us.
Okay, and before, I'm really sure that Collins tried to fast for 8 hours. Hey, Collins, ulikuwa umeamua aje hiyo siku?
At least I tried.
And I have 2 questions to the gentleman. Besides Ramadan, there are other responsibilities, e.g., school and work. And my question to the 2 gentlemen, besides Ramadan, there are other responsibilities, e.g., work and school. So how do Muslims then balance between school and work during Ramadan?
Okay, Makari, do you want to go first or I go first? Okay,
Omar, you can proceed.
Okay, so for me, I'll talk from a personal capacity on this one. And there is the rich man's hour and there's the poor man's hour. You get to decide what time you wake up and you get to decide what time you sleep, and the routine or the things you get to set aside for you to work. I don't view Ramadan as something that is supposed to change routine work, but I think it is something that is supposed to teach you planning on how you're supposed to plan your time, on how you're supposed to execute your time. So, for instance, I have always had this desire of waking up at the rich man's hour. That means saa kumi. So nikiamka hiyo saa kumi, I get to do my things mpaka kitu saa moja, saa mbili before people like akina Washira call me for anything else. I'm kidding, man. Yeah, before anyone calls me saa moja ama saa mbili, which is the normal work time, I have already done the tasks of the day. If I haven't planned the previous night, I plan in the morning. Then now for me, on a personal capacity, it's that I get to now do the important tasks. Kuanzia hiyo saa moja ama saa mbili, if it's classwork, whatever needs to be done, up to saa saba when I pray for the next prayer. Then now anything that requires the rest part of the brain, that is critical thinking, that is behavioral thinking or design thinking, then now I can do them in the afternoon. But now for things like you drinking water, for you eating, you are advised to eat light because of a number of reasons. One of them, fasting is not it's not just something you just do because you're just doing for the sake of, but there are reasons as to why you're doing them. One of them is self-discipline. Second is, for instance, you getting to understand how it feels to actually lack, how it feels to actually be part of a community that is doing the same thing. So again, for me, I don't think it's supposed to be something that restricts you on anything. I actually feel it is something that engages your discipline, your self-discipline even more. So that is my take on it. So there are a variety of checks, but I think if you strategically plan yourself or you strategically look at Ramadan from a point of growth, from a point of discipline, from a point of self-reflection, from a point of planning, then it becomes a little bit better than how you would view it as something that you're just culturally doing. Thank you.
Bakari?
Okay. Guys, Ramadan ni rahisi. Imagine, if I may ask a question, imagine Ramadan is the holiest month. We remark as the holiest month. So it comes once in a year. For fasting, for me, fasting is very easy. Like, huwa napenda kufunga kwa sababu kufunga inasaidia vitu vingi venye Omar amesema, like spiritual growth, self discipline. For me, I'm a student. Actually, I'm a student in Mount Kenya University. So ukiangalia how I balance kuhusu venye kufunga iko inachukulia rahisi, like it's where you get more blessings, sababu kuna vitu zingine inabidi umejitenga nazo, like backbiting, lying. So it comes ukijua kitu inakuja mara moja kwa mwaka, inabidi umeka bidii ukijua haitarudi tena. So for me, Ramadan fasting is very.
It's very easy.
You guys,
I love that because I can't remember the last time I had the word backbiting. It is a minute since I had that one. However, I like the way you're saying it is easy. And like for Mina here, who was fasting for I don't know what reason. I also try and fast here and there, but I think the intentionality behind it is different, or what we call in my culture "no God yo" is different. So I think it becomes more powerful when now it has even an intentional power behind it. Mine. I don't know what you think about that.
Before Mina goes on,
Just to clear
Mina
it
was,
up, I was fasting because I was in primary.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, me I was thinking
Yeah, go on, Ahmad.
nafikiria ni kampo, nijue wewe umeenda kuinama bwana. You are not fasting intentionally, you are fasting involuntary. Unainama ama you
I
on
was
a
perhaps
handstand.
fasting because of circumstances. No, that was not the case. It was a long time ago. I was in primary and we had a lesson in CRE and the lesson was basically about fasting. I tried to put what I had learned into action, but sadly, I failed even before I started. And I'd like to ask a question which might look very controversial. I know you're talking about fasting, but I'd like us to talk about food. Because from my point of view, I associate Ramadan with you guys eating very good food. Because I associate Ramadan with you guys eating pilau, you guys eating dates, you guys eating all these sorts of food, which to me looks very delicious. And from my point of view, for example, Jeff can't go 2 days without eating eggs. Washira can't go a day without drinking Fanta orange. So I'd like to just basically know from you guys, are there restrictions to what you can and can't eat during Ramadan, for instance? Is there a specific diet that you have to practice during Ramadan, or can you just eat anything? It's just that during the day, when the sunlight is there, you're restricted from eating.
Beautiful question. Bakari, you want to go first?
Okay. During this month in Islamic, kwa Muslims, in the Muslim perspective, kuna vitu fai kula. Kuna vitu nasema kuna haram and halal food. So haram and halal. So when we are growing up, tulikuwa tunafunzwa kuhusu vitu haram na vitu halal. Like during kama for example, for the Muslim, don't eat pig. You understand that?
Yeah.
So that is an example. We don't eat with pig. So during fasting, ukisema time ya kufungua Ramadhan, tunaanza asubuhi from 4, can imagine 4 till 6, 12 hours tuna fast. So there hafai kula kitu chochote, don't drink, don't eat anything, but afterwards ikishafika 6 ndio time ya kufungua. For the how we are taught, what we recommended, ukienda kufungua hiyo 6, we mark it by adhan ndio tujue tunafungua. So ikifika hiyo 6, we are recommended tukule tende, dates and water. That is hiyo kwa Islam is very recommended, but you can eat any type of food. Unaweza kula viazi, pilau, nini, you're not restricted, not unless kama ni haram, it's not allowed.
You know, Bakari, I also like to follow up on that conversation of food. You know, it will be fair if I don't ask something on that. I was raised in a place where food is dear to our heart in Western Kenya. You know, so, but I was looking at it in a different perspective. I know now, after, in iftar, is it after or iftar? I just know the word is iftar now. Wakati mmefungua. I don't know if I'm right. There is that communal aspect rather than waiting for the day, you know, the final day itself for Eid. There is that communal aspect of it that you guys come together so that you can sasa mmefungua, so you are sharing a meal together. Is that really important during Ramadan, or is something that happens every day, or people become a little bit intentional during iftar to be together with each other, or how does it go?
They talk about iron sharpening iron. And that it's only iron that probably can sharpen the other iron better. I don't know how true that one is. Maybe there's a better iron, there's a better metal that can sharpen iron. But in that, when you're in that environment, you're in that pocket, you're in that set of people who are adhering to a specific set of values, then it becomes easier for you to just store the line. Rather than when you're in people you would likely second guess, you would likely doubt. So food is a very intentional aspect in the African society. Yeah, there's food, there's smiles, there's happiness. People are happy, people talk, people eat, people bleed, not bleed rather, but they bring their hearts out. Yeah, people are more friendlier when there's food. So food, yes, you are right, Maina. Food is a good central piece, but the significance of why there are a variety of foods, and we Coastarians, okay, I don't know up here, but I also see there's good guys who are trying really well up here. But I am from the coast. I tell you one thing from the coast, something we know how to do better than anyone else, I think, in this country, is food. We know how to cook it. We know how to make it look good. But one thing we fail very well is how to produce it. But that's a conversation. So
You know, Omar, there is Anjeri somewhere who's nodding her head and she's saying, "You do not know the soup that I can do." Anyway, just to follow up on that conversation, Omar, I like to get into a little bit, okay, for food, I really understand, because even in our culture, they say that, food becomes even sweeter when it is eaten, when it is shared, and somebody who eats alone dies alone. So anyway, enough with the food. What about now? We are living in a diverse Africa, a diverse world. Not everybody shares in Islam religion. And I know now, coming from the coast where a majority of the people are Islam, I know you have now had this experience of, mnaita katika bara sasa, right? Where we have these other cultures, we have this religion, especially now the majority being the Christian. How has that experience been for you? Do you feel like there is good integration? Is there, people? Is there that harmony between the religion, especially during this time? Are you understood? Do you have a good time, or there is one friend there and anajaribu kukutempt? Such kind of things. Those things that happen, because I remember when I was in high school, or when I was in primary, during this time, there are some people used to, kama kuchezea na saa zingine si mzuri. So maybe you can tell us about that. How has that experience been for you now, especially during this time, in relation with the other culture, the other religions?
Someone told me, and they always say it every single time when a culture fails, and they say culture eats strategy for breakfast. Strategy is the first meal that is eaten by culture every single time you introduce it. Strategy is always something new, is always something that is foreign. Allow me to just go back a little bit on the previous conversation, just adding on what Bagati said, is that what is illegal during these days stays illegal on the other days. And what is allowed on those other days is allowed on these days. And the aspect of community is that Africans, when Africans were Africans, allow me to add this, and since this is African Kona, when Africans were Africans, the dynamism of African man marrying one wife was not so very present. Africans used to have multiple wives. So, and they used to live in a communal setting where you have kids of your uncle, kids of so and so living in the same boma. That means there were multiple wives in that boma. So if this house wakipika maharagwe, hii nyingine wapike chapati, hii nyingine wapike viazi tamu, au wengine wapike motobosha, au ni viazi karai, yeah? Those foods are brought together on the communal plate where people get to sit down and they eat variety of foods cooked across different households. So I'm not saying that they're competing, but good food was just good food. Ukipika vibaya tutasema umepika vibaya. You will have to go back home and reconsider why your food was eaten less than the other ones. So again, going back on your question, and please remind me if I answer it correctly. I think I've lost my train of thought, but please ask the question again one more time.
I wanted, I'd like to know your experience. You guys, this is like sort of a personal experience, not really contextual in a scholarly manner. How was the experience for you? How has it been over the years? Because you're not children, and how even today, even from this Ramadan, how has it been, especially dealing with people who are not Islam and they don't practice Islam, so they don't understand exactly, what is happening, and those now who are arrogant and try to tempt, such kind of things. Anajua Omar anapenda hii chakula sana, and then I tell you, Omar, come and visit me, and then I make sure that is what I have cooked. Such kind of experience that I'm asking. Yeah.
I'd love Bakari to go. This is so that I don't tend to overshadow, but Bakari, go first, please.
Okay. For my personal experience, kuna kitu that's why kuna kitu cha self discipline. Hata unapenda kula ni aje, lakini kuna kitu inaitwa self discipline. So what we mark, tunajua Ramadan ni msimu wa kufunga. So unaona. So ukiangalia ukijua Ramadan it comes once, naenda mara moja na hivyo, and the blessings in Ramadan are more and more. So huwezi taka kuwa tempted at all. My personal experience, mtu akijaribu kutempt, si tunafunza tunasema kuna kitu inaitwa self discipline, kuna kitu in Arabic inasema inni swaimu. Unamwambia for the non-Muslim, for the Muslim, so watakuwa na ile respect. So unajua utamwambia inni swaimu, mimi nafunga. So akijaribu kutempt tunamwambia msitaki kula ile chakula, sababu kishamueleza what you stand by your opinion yako, unamwambia mimi nimefunga, so respect mtuka hizo. Lakini obviously utakuwa tempted at once. Saa zingine unaweza jisahau pia ukule, usahau ile intentional kusahau, ile umejifanya umesahau. Kuna ile like umepitikiwa, like umesahau kwa umeona pengine kitu kwa meza hivi, embe ukakula, lakini ukakumbuka on the middle, mimi nimefunga, so you leave it there. Unaona, unaacha hapo kabisa, uendelee. Ukiendelea inamaanisha tayari ulikuwa unafungua. Unaona. Alafu kuna time pingine pia when you're going to prayers, when you're talking wudu. What you mean wudu? Kama unataka kujisafisha ndio swali. So unaweza kuwa pia on the middle kunywa maji on the process. Sasa pia unaweza kusahau, unaona? Utakuwa umesahau kama umefunga. Sasa unaona vitu kama hizo pia ziko pia unapitia. Ingine unaweza kuwa unatembea uone kaimati mahali nini utamani, lakini unajizuia tu, ni self discipline, kujikaza. Ni hivyo tutatoboa tu. Siku si mingi, 30 days and 30 days si mingi.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. Now that you've admitted, yes, you might make that mistake, because we are creatures of the flesh. From time to time, we might digress from what we're supposed to follow. You might visit Washira, for instance, and he offers you pork and doesn't tell you this is pork. And now, upon the realization that you've made that mistake, you've digressed from the norm, are you allowed to, or is there room for you to make amends, to pray to your God, to basically repent and amend for your sins? Or is it once and done? Once you make the mistake, there is no going back?
Yeah, allow me to answer Rashid's question first, then get to yours. I'd say if there is someone who gets to say, thank you, God, for the friendship, and I'll tell you with all honesty that person is me. When I pray and I say, thank you, Allah, or thank you, God, for the gift of friendship, I'll say it's me. I have some of the most understanding friends. I have had some of the most accommodating friends. And even as we were starting this, and Washira has seen me with this, and I think of even a lot of my friends, I think Washira has been exemplary, intentional about us being friends, us meeting, us getting to overcome some specific barriers. So when you ask me, are there Christians who tempt me? Washira, do you tempt me? No, don't answer that. But
And you're the only person who can answer that question.
Yeah. And I'll answer with a lot of honesty, with a lot of truth, that my friends who are of other religions, they have been the most supporting ones. They have been very decent in even helping me do that. Let me give one light context. There's a time where Pokot was known to have a lot of chaos back in the time. And we had gone down there for a mission to actually go and do something with the kids in schools. And Ramadan got me in that time when we were actually doing that mission. And the guys who were there, it was in a church setting. I'm not going to mention the church, but it was in a church setting. And the guys who were actually serving food would actually preserve food for me during the whole day and even give it to me in the evening to go and open and as well eat something at night. They would even put tea, porridge in a flask for me to actually consume when I am almost fasting. So again, I would not say that they have tempted me in one capacity or the other one, but I would say I am very grateful for them being who they are, how they have done it. And for instance, Eid and Washira, if you accept this one, we can see what we can do. If you want one of these and maybe a country, I can show you where we can get the best looking. If you want to rock this during Eid, we can discuss what that looks like. But a lot of my friends who are non-Muslims tend to wear it even during Eid just as a means of supporting, to make sure that I'm comfortable, to let me know that we are here with you. I have walked into church settings before to just make sure that they are also comfortable as well, letting them know that religion or culture can never be a barrier to us expressing who we are as friends and in humanity. Thank you, Washira. So the other question was, allow me, nimeipoteza kidogo. Kuna swali ulikuwa umeuliza, Maina.
How do you make amends once you digress from the course?
That one. So we begin every single prayer by saying, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We believe that He is graceful enough and He is the most merciful. In that we always make mistakes. We say, I think even this in Christianity, they tend to say that we are sinners in our own way. We lie in the smallest of things, that is the smallest of the sins, and we get to do things that we even ourselves think that God cannot forgive us for them. For instance, murder. So again, just like Christianity, the same God, the same value system, because we believe that we come from the same lineage going all the way up to Abraham. So He is all forgiving, He is all knowing, and He is all merciful. Bakari, I'm seeing you smiling. So yeah, did I answer the question correctly, Maina?
Yeah, very correct.
Thank you.
Jeff, Jeff looks like he has something to say or ask. I'll let him do it.
Thank you again. Sorry for the inconvenience. There's a question bothering me. You see, not all people are Muslims, but we have, like me. So, and we want to support you and celebrate with you. So, what advice will you give us when we want to celebrate with you the Ramadan?
Okay. Ramadan is a month, and fasting happens globally, with every Muslim community fasting at this time of the month. And I think even you getting to want to understand, there's something I like saying, and I might be very wrong, but I call it swadaka. There's zakat and there's swadaka. Swadaka is acts of charity. Zakat is what you give, almost like tithe. And swadaka is just simple acts that you tend to do on daily, day in, day out, that has an impact on the other person. For instance, someone can just basically just smile, and just by smiling at someone, it essentially means you have no harm. Saying a greeting to someone, just letting them know that how are you, complimenting someone, removing something that could harm someone on the road, be it a stone, be it a needle, be it Muiba. So you can call it whatever you want, but those small acts are more encouraged because the reward is more double during this time of the month. So you just being in a position where you actually want to ask this conversation is in itself supporting. I think one of the things that I'm thinking that we can do with the Washira, and that is the eating thing. Yeah, and as long as there's food, you just call me, I'll try and come. As long as it's not.
And, I don't know why you people. I'm also, I also fast, by the way. I don't know why you're associating me with food too much. Although I do not fasting as a food in a different way. Maybe it's like intermittent fasting. Anyway, I can see the question that has been raised by Jeff. I think maybe I can like to hear what Bakari can respond to that also, the same question.
Okay. During this month of Ramadan, tunafaa to be kind. We should be kind to the humanity. Unaona, kwa mtu mwenzako, for the non-Muslim, kuna kitu Islam means peace. So if Islam is associated by peace, it means that you should give ufai kutempt mtu. Unaona, I have a friends from my personal experience. I have a friend anapenda kula mbele yangu, uje kule nini, anakutempt in a way. So naambia mimi nafunga, so kuna ile kitu inaitwa respect at once. Kitu ningesema you should give someone ample time aweze kufunga nini. Unajua there is a lot of temptation during this month of Ramadan actually. Kuna vitu mingi ufai kufanya, vingine unafaa ufanye. The advice that I can give, show kindness. It's all about kindness. Ile kuna kitu kwa Islam, kuna kitu inaitwa hiyo sadaqatul jariyah. Sadaqatul jariyah inamaanisha sadaka ya kujitolea. So vile Omar amesema, kutoa miba kwa barabara, kufanya mtu asmile pia this month pia inaweza saidia. Unaona kuna vitu vingi, so kindness, respect, hiyo ndio ningependa kusema tu, sina nyingine.
Okay, thank you Bakari for that. Let me ask Omar. Omar anani associate na food sana, but it's okay. I'm partly Western. Now, Omar, at the end of it all, we are looking forward to Eid al-Fitr, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know if I also pronounced that right. Na hii wakati ya Eid, hapo ndio sasa Wakristo na watu wengine wenye, from the other religions, they now have Muslim friends all of a sudden. They want to have Muslim friends all of a sudden because, now we are going to eat, So, I want to ask, I know that Eid is not just for the purpose of now opening, now it is no longer fasting, now to kule, but I think it has a more deeper meaning. I think there is an esoteric meaning behind it. So, Omar, I'd like to understand more about Eid, but I'm not saying you don't invite us. My Jeff, Mina, and myself, we are very ready for Tuesday. Anyway, so and before you answer that, I can see Benedict Joyce saying that Kumbe Washira anajua Kiswahili. Come on, I mean Swahili. So, Omar, can you proceed?
So yeah. So there's Eid al-Adha and there's Eid al-Fitr,
Mm,
but both of them are communal in their essence. They are communal in the way we do things. Even Ramadan itself, we are even told or encouraged to eat with people who are not of our deen. Being a Muslim in itself is not something that you act out to be. It is supposed to be your way of life. It is supposed to be the way you do things day in, day out. But now it is a little bit more heightened during Ramadan. So when we come to the session of Eid, where we Eid al-Fitri, the one that he's saying that it's a lot of eating. Mimi kama ulinisahau wakati wa Christmas. Um, sijui tufanye aje lakini ukinisahau tena Christmas tuko na wewe Washira. You didn't remember me last Christmas.
Mimi hata Christmas, kwani kulikuwa na Christmas? Christmas ilikuwa lini?
Yeah. But essentially, how we tend to do it is that we tend to. It's a communal eating session where in the morning there is a prayer session. Then there are bites even at the mosque where people come with the bites, they bring them, they share from their houses. There is tender, there is drinking of water because now you're breaking the fast. In the morning. Then now people go home, then they now eat. So that is when now we go with you guys back at home, we go eat together. So if you have a neighbor there, you normally slide a plate of food, let them know, oh, tuko pamoja, tuko na wewe, we are in this together. So you provide food, you show kindness, you present gifts. So that is the time of sharing, communal eating, celebrating. But as much as it is the best, but that is also one of the worst because Muslims also look at it that the devil has been released and that he's out there, and that is when most of the sins tend to happen. So I don't know if I answered it correctly or if I touched on all the relevant points. Washira says there's no wrong way of answering the question. So yeah, that is
Yeah, Omar,
how.
don't worry about answering the question wrongly. You're okay. We are in the right trajectory. We are able to follow. And also remember, we cannot be able to touch everything on everything today. We just want to get that, general understanding of what we mean by Ramadan. And I'm sure Maina now, wakati anauliza kama mambo ya Idul Fitri itakuwa lini, Eid itakuwa lini, maybe he can tell us, maybe he wants to ask an open, mumu invite Maina.
I will be there no matter what. Come
Before Maina you proceed, I don't want to say it live here to the whole world. What Omar did to me the last Eid, he knows what he did. He knows. So Maina, proceed.
Yeah. This time we'll go. The whole team will be there, representing Wachira Speaks. And I have maybe just one final question, because from our conversations, I've come to understand the significance behind it, and I must say it's something I value, and it's something that I admire from you guys, that you give up these worldly pleasures for an entire month because you believe in a higher cause than yourselves. You cleanse your bodies, and you just stick true to your religion, and you do what Allah deserves or demands from you. And if I, as a Christian, wanted to be part of this month, I wanted to fast for an entire month, but I'm not necessarily a Muslim, but I admire what you guys are doing, and I'd like to practice that entire month fast, even though my previous fast only lasted for 8 hours. If I'd like to immerse myself in that a period of fasting, am I allowed to do so, or are there restrictions to it? Maybe Bakari, you could share some light on that.
Maina, okay, Maina, you want to fast?
I want to. The spirit is willing. I'm not very sure about the flesh, but the spirit is willing to fast.
Okay, what I know, basically, we do fast because it's faith. Actually, for the Muslim, huwa tuna fast kwa sababu ya ni mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhan na tunaruhusiwa na ni lazima kwa Muislamu yeyote anafaa kufunga. For the Muslim, what I know. So you can fast. There's no problem. Fasting it's important ni important actually. Si lazima uko Muslim na Muslim. No. But for the Muslim, it's actually faith. No.
Yeah.
For us, it's actually faith. Ni kitu lazima ufanye. Alafu tunaamini mwezi wa baraka, hapo ndo blessings zitakuwa nini. For the knowledge I have in the madrasa kwenye nimefunzwa, mwingine anaweza funga but sidhani niko sure sana. Unaweza funga tu sababu pia ni faith, unaweza funge. Lakini for the Muslim I know it's faith, lazima ufunge. Alafu pia inasaidia mwili na wewe. Funga, unajua by the inasaidia mwili na wewe, like ina reduce high chances na calories, hizo vitu zingine, na tunaamini vitu mingi sana. Like ukifunga si lazima ule kujifunga tumbo, like unajua kwa sababu gani tuna fast? Kwa sababu tuna fast ni to mark that kenye wengine wanasikia wakilala njaa, what we believe in, wengine wakiwa wanalala njaa, pia sisi to feel the pain that somebody somewhere amekosa chakula mahali, unaona, hajakula the whole day for the 12 hours. So imagine fasting for 12 hours, ujue the pain, unaona. Another thing what makes it ina reduce chances ya ugonjwa pia. Fast inasaidia. But Maina, I have no problem. You just can fast. You can fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've answered my question conclusively.
Yeah.
I think before I allow Jeff to ask his final question, I can see Fred Congo, rafiki ya Jeff akisema that it has been an eye-opening show. We need more of this in time to come. For instance, people just celebrate events without knowledge of what they mean or their significance. And he also says that, Jeff, I hope you know what December 25th mean. Ama it's okay to value a tree like it. So, Jeff, maybe you can ask Omar and Bakari the last question that you have for tonight before we close it up.
Okay. Kwanza 25, I will sort. We are invited, Omar and Bakari. You can just call me. Ninaweza wapanga hiyo siku.
Usidanganye watu hapa juu unajua hii itatangulia before Christmas.
So my question ni nataka tu mnijibu. Unapata nilipata kuuliza, do all Muslims fast, ama unapata watu kama watoto kama pia wanapitia process ya kufast? Unajua inaweza kuwa ngumu kwa watoto when hiyo process ya kufast kwenda that long. So nilikuwa nataka kujua kama kuna specific people wenye wanakuanga wamewekwa kando au wamekubaliwa wanaweza kula. Sawa.
Okay, so can I answer that one? Okay, so number one, if you have a health condition where you have to be taking meds or injections, you are exempted from fasting. A woman who is in her days or periods, she is exempted from fasting. A woman who is pregnant or is breastfeeding a baby is exempted from fasting. Someone who is traveling is not exempted from fasting, but rather they are allowed not to actually fast those days, but they should return the day the normal has ended. So again, there are exempted people. For instance, a kid who is younger, I think than, if I'm not wrong, around 12 years. For us in the course, what we do with them is we get to start increasing the number of hours. So first they fast mpaka kitu saa 6 saa 8 mchana, then they can eat. and you keep increasing the hours closer to the time of breaking the fast. So this is so that they get to mentally train. So for me, for instance, I think when I was a kid, there was that culture where if you don't get to fast, you don't get to eat with the elders. You don't get to eat with the elders. So of course, you feeling secluded when others are eating. There was that seamless kind of pain. The circulation you wanakula, they have to eat fast before I can eat. So yeah, so they are encouraged to fast in that manner. So there are specific people who are exempted, but there are some people whom it has been made easier for them not to fast. But if you are in a position where you can't fast permanently, there are guys who are encouraged to futurisha. Futurisha is you get to feed people who are not able to actually afford Ramadan iftar. So of course there is us whom you guys tend to see. When you see Muslims, you see us guys eating a barrage of foods. Tunakula chakula kila aina
With iPhone.
Yeah? Okay, yes. There are barrage of there are barrage of foods and all that. I almost said that in that one I said. So yeah, barrage of foods, like I was saying, different foods, different meals, and what you don't get to see is the Muslim who doesn't have food, who doesn't have access to that kind of food material. So these are the people that you are encouraged to actually feed. Where do we find most of these people? Some of these people who we find in the mosque, for instance, in the mosque, we've seen these guys who get to eat in the mosque. There are a lot of plates. Guys are seated in circles, or they're seated in a specific manner, maybe in rows, and they get to share plates of food. So this is someone who's probably just trying to seek blessings from the Lord, or they're just essentially kufuturisha. They're feeding the poor, or they're feeding the needy, they're feeding the weak, and for them that acts as a compensation in front of Allah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you, Omar, for that. And I think I'd like to ask you to now. This is for the both of you. The last question of the night. Now, I want to start off with Bakari on this one. At the end of the day, sorry. Let me put it in proper English. At the end of the month, what do you hope to achieve after we're done with Ramadan? After now it is Eid time. What is it all for you? What does it mean at the end of it? And then the last question that I'd like you also to respond to is, as I've said, we are living in a diverse world, and sometimes us who do not know these things might put you in bad places. You see, like Omar now. A moment. So, how can I help you also in that journey as a person who maybe is not practicing Islam? How can I be of help? How can I not be ignorant? And be part of this process in one way or the other. Bakari.
Actually, that's a good question. For me, ningependa kuachieve during this period of Ramadan that my sins should be forgiven. I hope the faith. It's all about faith. Seme dhambi zako zitakuwa zimefutwa. So it's a holy month. You get a lot of blessings. Vitu mingi kama kenye link kwa roho pia, what you want to be achieved by Allah. Yani, it's for me like nataka tu dhambi zangu zifike. But I know dhambi, kitu ya kwanza, kitu ya pili blessings, kitu ya tatu vitu zifunguke. I mean, if you are blessed, everything will be new. So because Ramadan actually brings a lot of things, a lot of neema. What do you mean by neema? A lot of blessings by Allah, because that is the moment whereby Mungu amefungua. Si tunaamini milango ya pepo imefunguliwa na milango ya moto ndio imefungwa. And this month where Satan ashafungwa. So you can't blame the Satan right now. Wezi sema ati ni nini, wezi shetani amefungwa. So we believe that shetani amefungwa, milango ya pepo imefunguliwa na milango ya moto imefungwa. So for me ningependa kuachieve since kenye kwa roho yangu nini everything as we go on mpaka tumaliza Ramadhani nishamaliza. Yani nishasamehewa dhambi everything. And then What is the other question? I hope nimejibu vizuri.
The other question is, how can we, help you in the process? How can we be impactful, even though we are not, practicing the same religion? How can we be of help? Because I understand it is not an easy journey per se, you know.
Okay. Your help. Oh, for you guys.
Bakari, you can think about it. Let me give you a minute. You can think
Yeah.
about it. I'll get back to you. And let me go back to Omar. Omar, I've been asking him this question, and I know the answer, but maybe I'd like him to share with the audience. Number one, at the end of the day, at the end of the month rather, what do you hope to achieve? What do you look forward to? What is it all for? And then also, how can we be of help? Us who are not practicing, or maybe us who are not fasting. How can we be of help? How can we not be abusive? How can we not be, ignorant in the process during Ramadan?
There's an African proverb that talks about you only have to wash a sufuria for you to reuse it again. For you to cook again, you have to clean the sufuria, then you can reuse it. This conversation is not about sufurias, Makiu. So this is the month, like Bakari said, this is the month where you get to wash the sufuria out clean. You get to make sure that the iron or steel or the pot you're using is cleaner for you to reuse again. So essentially, I'm not saying that you essentially have to go back there and sin again, but it is meant to inculcate a new set of disciplines, a new set of autonomy to how you run your life, a new way of how you look at life. In the Islamic tradition, a lot has happened during this month. A lot of historical moments that are treasured in the Islamic religion have happened during this month. And what I hope to achieve, like I said, for instance, where I work and or where I come from is I have always had this desire, and it is my way of life where I want to see Christians, Muslims, atheists, or whatever denomination you come from, being in a platform where you can just sit, eat, and have conversations, and that you people will not fight regardless of your political affiliations, your religious affiliations, or even your religious affiliations. So in itself, me, I hope to actually have these conversations we are having today more and more, more and more. We get more people enlightened. We get to have more people discuss about these conversations for them to get to understand why Muslims do things the way they do. And hopefully even us Muslims can come to understand the Christianic fasting, how it happens, why it happens, when it happens, and in whatever manner or whatever we can do to actually support you in your particular endeavor. I look at religion as a way of life. I look at religion as a way of living. I look at religion as a way that you have been taught the doctrines, how you perceive life, and by the lens of which you look at life. So if you look at me, I am hoping that I can be more spiritually enlightened. I believe a human should have at least five items that make them whole, and one of them being the spirit. How at peace are you? I'm hoping that by the end of this, I get to be more at peace with myself. I get to be more understanding of how I work, how my body works, and all that. Because now I'm changing the diet, I'm changing how I eat, I'm changing my sleeping patterns, I'm changing my work patterns. So I'm hoping to be a transformed being at the end of the day. I am hoping that I can have a new set of knowledge because now, from the time I am waking up, the time I'm sleeping, I am not supposed to be listening or to be consuming some specific set of contents that restricts me to content that can only build you or accumulate knowledge inside you. I am hoping to be more disciplined in that man lazima uamke saa kumi for you to bite something to be able to move the day. Maina, kufunga hatufungi tu hivyo. There's a way we normally do it, and there's a strategy to it. Right? We can meet behind after we finish this. I just should show you the whole structure of how we do it so that you're able to survive. So if for us, the culmination is the knowledge that people before us have done it, people in our lifetime are doing it, and right now as it is, there are people who are actually doing it. So kids as young years are able to do it, to actually fast for the whole month. And how you can help, number one, like we have always done it, and it's not a smooth road. It's not a smooth lining. It's not a smooth slide. Accountability is one of the ways that I think you can help us getting to understand now, knowing what you know. Given the time we have spent together, my hope, my and wishes are that you now get to have a little deeper understanding of what it means to just hold a Muslim accountable. Ukimwona nakula mchana, maybe a simple question as why is that happening? Why are you eating during the day? Are you okay? Are you, because now you understand what kind of set of people are not supposed to actually eat. They have to be unwell for them not to fast. They have to be a non-Muslim for them not to fast. But if they claim they're a Muslim, they're not fasting, then there has to be a problem. So I think there is a small tinge of getting to just understand that me as a Muslim at this time I can't fight. I am supposed to be in a specific set of mind. I'm not supposed to get angry. I'm not supposed to get into an entanglement. Yeah. So this is the time. If kama uko na grudge na Muislamu, this is the time you approach them and you beat them to the pulp. They are not supposed to fight back. I don't know. I can't promise you that they might fight back. So yeah. So Washira, I am hoping that through these 30 days of worship, these 720 hours of spirituality, through these 4 weeks of mercy, atonement, and reconciliation with oneself and one's Allah, I'm hoping that the 43,200 minutes that you spend of this month get to be fruitful, wonderful, and transformative. I don't know if I answered it.
Thank you. You have answered it. Last question. You have answered it quite well, Omar, and there's somebody who confirms it here by the name Fredbon. He says that I like the way Omar defines religion, a way of life, and that a man is defined by many factors, religion being one of them. And then I can see somebody by the name Etir Loito saying Ramadan Karim to our brothers. Etir Loito, greetings to you all the way from the other side of the country near the lake. And then I can see Igusa Kapesa kutoka Tanzania, Arusha, anasema assalamu alaikum wa ta'ala wa barakatuh. Happy to see the great sheikhs. I have a question and I wish to be helped. Can a Muslim receive and eat futari from a non-Muslim fellow? I think Bakari, you can answer to that so that you can be able to close it out. That is from Igusa Kapesa.
Yeah. Okay. Igusa Kapesa. So you can eat futari from somebody who's non-Muslim. As long as food, it's anything. As long as it's not silly food imekatazwa. Like it's a haram food. No. Haram. What do you mean by haram? What the Muslim eat, si Kenya amepika. You understand? So, but futari, it marks that unaweza kula futari na vile. As long as even if na Muslim amepika Muslim, yeah, you can enjoy the meal.
Thank you. Thank you, Bakari, for that. You know, we really appreciate you guys coming on African Kona and also being part of this Washira Speaks fraternity as a whole. We really appreciate you, Omar, and what you do there at Salam. I know it also falls in line mostly with what you're talking about today. It's a journey of, you know, a good understanding of the diverse peoples in Africa, and I really appreciate that. Before we wrap it up totally, I know Jeff has some announcement for us. He has been announcing this for quite some time. Mine, I will have to say something also as we wrap up so that I can get the final comments from our guests. Love to say ni hivo sasa. You know, Omar has to be up by 4 a.m. in the morning with Bakari. So, Jeff?
Okay, Washira, I know we'll be with Omar and hopefully Bakari on this Saturday. We will still do the scavenger hunt event. Please, wear sporty. There will be fun activities. We have really prepared for that day. and we hope for the best. And finally, to our brothers, Omar and Bakari and all Muslims, I want you to wish you a blessed Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maina, Omar is and Bakari, they're saying they are in coming to scavenger hunt. I hope also we will be able to be considerate enough of the month of Ramadan also. Maina.
Everything will be free and fair. I can see Omar is even more excited than he normally is when he's not fasting. I don't know what has happened in this
He has
week,
a
but
certain
it
aura.
seems like
I was calling him and I'm asking, why are you? There's a certain aura with him, Maina.
even you can see that. Like Jeff said, our scavenger hunt, it's almost like 2 days away, and we've set the ground up. Everything is in order. If you guys come, I believe you'll have the times of your lives, and we hope you'll come. We don't
Yeah.
hope, we know you'll come. You've made your payments. A lot of you have paid, perhaps more than we had even expected, but everything is set. And as we conclude, I'd like to wish our brothers Ramadan Karim. And I want again to state that I don't have plans for Eid. Uh, feel free to invite me. Yeah. And apart from that, you guys have a good night.
Yeah. We hear you, Collins, na tuko hapo tukisema kwamba hatuna mipango. Our diaries are open, Omar and Bakari. Anyway, Bakari, what are your last comments as we wrap up the show?
Ramadan Kareem and Saum Makbul to all Muslims, and feel appreciated for the and Muslim. You can fast Maina, endelea kufunga Simba. Yeah. So for me, being the blessed month, ningependa we show the act of kindness, we show that the act of giving, because futari pia mnaalikwa futari pia huku. So Omar pia anaweza andaa futari pia mwelikwe. So it's all about blessing. So for me, for the Muslim na worldwide, Ramadan Kareem and Saum Makbul. May it be the blessed month. Everybody should get what he needs, the desires of his or her heart.
Thank you very much, Bakari, for being here. Omar.
Yeah. Ramadan Mubarak to every Muslim out there, and Ramadan just is a month. Fasting is basically, I think it's unanimously known that it helps. It has certain health benefits, and I'm encouraging Maina to fast. We'll work around how we go through the fasting, but there are around 720 hours of fasting per person throughout the whole month. But there's a staggering 1.8 billion hours of fasting each day globally. And this goes beyond the abstaining of food in these sacred months, which brings about a profound sense of commitment in your spiritual renewal, a sense that borders through culture, religion, and it reminds us through the discipline, the devotion that we get to permeate to others, and as well the strength, the compassion, and the connection we get to build with people from diverse cultures, religions, leaders, and all across the board. So this is a month that, as it ends or it heads towards Eid, I'm hoping that it can bring unity, reconciliation, and bring a world where, or bring an Africa where we are more united, we are more reconciled, and we are in peace with ourselves. So Ramadan Mubarak and Maina. Umesema huna plans za Eid, tutakupanga accordingly. I hope you will show up. Hope as well Bashira and the team tuwekea kitu kidogo ya kukula ikifika jioni ile masaa yetu ya kufungua. But don't worry about it. No pressure. Thank you very much. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone, and peace. Salam.
Thank you, Omar. Once again, I'd like to appreciate you guys in a very special manner for being here and talking to us about Ramadan. And also to thank everybody who has been very intentional to come to the scavenger hunt. I know people have paid, they have exceeded our expectation. The numbers that we hoped for imepita, and tunashukuru sana. We also, in the spirit of Ramadan, we ought to thank some special people who decided that they will sponsor some tickets for various people, and we also thank them very much for that. Iyo roho ya kupeana, tunashukuru sana. And then also make sure as you're coming to the to on Saturday in Kabete, ukikuja scavenger hunt, abuva sporty. It will be a sporty day. It will be an interesting event, and you'll have a very, very fun time. You'll get to search for this treasure that we are looking for, and maybe you'll be the winner, because Minor tells me there is a lot of good things for you in store. A lot of awards to be won. A lot of come on, it's going to be nice. And for you who still thinks that they want to come, maybe try and have a conversation with us across our platforms. We see if we can be able to, feature you in at the end of the day. Apart from that, I want to wish our Muslim brothers, and in particular Omar, Ramadan Karim. I hope to see you tukialikwa pale Eid. Tashukuru sana sana sana. Apart from that, my name is Motradhi Washira Wanyaga. I want to wish you a good night. Ishinegira na shia mobi mubodi. Dayo.
Are you an outdoor person who likes having fun? Or are you an introvert who likes having fun once in a while? Or are you basically a fun person? If you're any of that, well, I welcome you to a scavenger hunt.